Okay, so the first thing we're going to be discussing is your thesis statement. Your thesis is the central point of your essay, so clearly it needs to be what your paper is about. It's usually less than it's in your intro. There can be exceptions for the purposes of this class. I wouldn't see any need for those exceptions, but talk to me if you think there is one. And it needs to have two parts. It needs to have debatable claim. It does need to be debatable because it's very difficult to prove something that is already a fact. And again, for the purposes of this class, it needs to have previews. These are not always required, but talk to me if you think there's a situation where you don't have to have them. Something that's really important to note is that everything in your paper should point back to your thesis. If something does not point back to your thesis, it shouldn't be in your paper. So now we are going to go through a few examples of what good and bad thesis statements may look like. So, the first thesis says, everyone should watch The Lord of the Rings because it has a beautiful set, an exciting plot, and many valuable lessons. So I want you to think for a minute and decide if you think this is a good thesis statement. Alrighty, so for those of you who thought it was, you are correct. It has everything a thesis should have. It has a debatable claim. Everyone should watch The Lord of the Rings. And it also has the previews that I have asked for. Okay, so the next one is the iPhone 6 is bigger, newer, and more advanced than the iPhone 5. So give you a couple seconds to think about if you think that is a good thesis or not. Okay, for those of you who said it was not, good job, you are correct. And the reason is that there is no debatable claim here. We can prove without any persuasion that the iPhone 6 is bigger, is newer, and is more advanced than the iPhone 5. Now, we may be able to debate that the iPhone 6 is better or worse than the iPhone 5, but we cannot debate that it is bigger, newer, and more advanced. Okay, our next thesis is Jamba Juice is the best fast food restaurant. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reveal if that is a good thesis or not. This is not a good thesis because it doesn't have previews. This could actually be a good thesis in certain situations, but for the purposes of this class, I've required previews, and therefore I would need some previews for me to think that this was a thesis I was okay with. So maybe Jamba Juice is the best fast food restaurant because it offers healthy fast food options, because it tastes delicious, and because it's cheap, which is not true because it's actually really expensive, but if that were the case. Okay, and so then the last preview, or the last thesis we're going to look at is Miss Maciel, that's me by the way, is the best English teacher ever because she's creative, helpful, and organized. And whether or not you agree that Miss Maciel is the best teacher ever, you can see that this is an accurate thesis because it has a debatable claim and it contains the previews that I have asked for.